Actually, where is this? Hey everybody, welcome to my vlog. Today I want to talk about a quote that I put in my book. It's in here. And the quote is, "The nature of yoga is to shine the light of awareness into the darkest corners of the body." That's by Jason Crandell. In the human body are thousands of cells. Nope. Millions? Nope. Billions? Nope. Trillions of cells. Almost 20 trillion cells in the human body. These cells function to keep our heart beating, to digest our food into human growth, to think thoughts, to get rid of toxins, and to breathe. Our cells respond to the thoughts in our brain through mindfulness. So what we fill our mind with matters to our body. To shine the light of awareness into the darkest corners of the body is to have beliefs and believe in yourself. Our minds can teach our bodies to be anything we want to be. We want to be an athlete, we want to be an employee, we want to be a yoga teacher. Anything that we need to be in life, our mind can train our bodies to be it. Including things like agelessness, things like longevity, living the number of years that we expect to live for ourselves, not because we've been taught to expect that number, but because we just simply want to. Our cells are trained by our brain because they have nucleuses in them. So in a way, we're made up of trillions of cells that are all one cell. We have our brain, which is the nucleus. We have a mitochondria, which might be our liver or our spleen, our digestive system. We've got cytoplasm, which is all the digestive juices and all the new food that we introduce to ourselves turns into cytoplasm. We've got cells that make our heart beat. Maybe our heart is like the mitochondria, and I don't know what our heart is. Maybe it's not a cell at all. Maybe we all just have hearts because we have hearts. But what I'm trying to say is that if we can teach the cells in our body that we are the boss, that's part of yoga. We teach the cells in our bodies that we're going to do the moves that we see someone else doing. We're going to do the moves that we imagine doing, and we're going to do the moves that we say we're going to do. It doesn't matter about our instincts as much during yoga because we learn to overrule that with our mindfulness. And our mindfulness, combined with our instincts, can tell us, like, yes, it's okay for us to reach beyond what we've ever experienced in life. If we've seen people passing away at a certain age, it doesn't mean that that's going to be us. It's just like the Bible says. There's been people that live towards 300 years old or 400, and there's no way that that needs to be impossible for us here on earth. The only reason why you would say so is because when people believe that they're going to pass away, they almost start to behave a certain way that leads to that passing away. And it doesn't mean that we're leading towards our own failure, because I don't want people to attribute death to failure. They're two different words and they're two different topics. But when we die, it's almost like we are believing that it's okay to go, that it's time to say goodbye. But it's also okay to just say, no, I'm not ready to go. I'm not ready to pass away. I don't want to have this disease. I don't want to have this problem in myself. And we can move forward in our life trying to get out of the same situation that everybody else has gone through. Not just to be unique, because it's not unique to want to live to 300 or 400. A lot of people want to, but it's just the process of allowing ourselves to be that way and to take those slower moments and to accept that we're not going to always get what we want. And sometimes we just got what we need. And needing something, when we start to need something, it's because our body is telling us that we need it. You can tell yourself that you don't need that Pepsi, that Coca-Cola, that cookie, that meal even. Some people live and they tell themselves they don't need meals and they live without food for days on end. And that's okay, because we're telling ourselves something that we want to believe and that we want to be mindful of, and then we're achieving it. There's always extremes where you want to say, no, we can't go there. We can't say this same thing to somebody who has no body fuel in their body to somebody who does. But the point is, if our mindfulness as civilization changes and we suddenly start to say that we're going to live as long as we want, or we're as strong as a statue, we can live as long as a statue can live. We can survive as many years as, the Statue of Liberty or the sculptures in Italy or anything else in South America, the one that's standing like that. And when you look at the world that way, it kind of starts to give you more time to achieve your goals. So there's less stepping on other people's toes to get what you want. There's more harmony, there's more relaxation, there's more time than we could ever imagine to be with other people. But when we believe we have a short life, it's almost like that's what we're going to achieve because that's what we believe. So if you want to achieve it, believe it. And I think that's an important lesson, that we take charge of, we take control of our billions, trillions of cells. And then if 1 billion people do the same thing, or 2 billion or 3 or 4 billion people all think the same thing, then the whole world is really going to shift. We're not just going to be living our life like when we're 50, we're almost done. Because that can't be true if we don't want it to be true and if we don't need it to be true. And as well as, we see this all the time in the news. You can look up miraculous transformations or healing journeys, and you'll learn that they are possible. And it's really important for us as citizens and as people and as parents to look at our lives and I look at our grandparents and believe in them more than we ever could imagine believing in somebody, to give them that chance to just take that thing that seems impossible, living 100 years or 200 or 300 years. It seems impossible. But when you believe it, everything and every cell in your body can believe it. You just have to say it enough to yourself. You have to think it enough to yourself, and you have to hold your own body as something that can believe that you're going to live for that number of years. You can ask God, you can pray, you can manifest it by yourself. If you need to ask angels or spiritual guides to help you get to it, that's just part of the process. But the first thing you need to do is to look at yourself and say, hey, what do I want out of life? How many years do I want? How much time do I want to manifest through? And then just kind of be aware that you can say it's through the power of belief. You can say it's through the secret, but it has something to do with just making it be possible. Through little possibilities, we'll get the big possibilities. And that's the same in everything. If you want the possibility of a job, you do little things, like you get a resume together. It's just a little piece of paper with ink on it. You get the job. You write the cover letter, you get the job. And it's the same way with years of belonging on this world. If you want to belong here for hundreds and hundreds of years, it's possible to belong on earth for as many years as you want. As many years as you want, as you can number. There's always the idea that we need to put God into the situation and include the Trinity and Jesus and all this. But those are people who respond to us. God doesn't live to make a plan for you that you don't want. God lives to make a plan for you that everybody wants to be included in, so that God can be who we want him to be and who we need him to be. And I'm saying that as a yoga teacher, this is something that's really freed me. I laid down on the ground one day, and there was nothing underneath me, no yoga mat, no pillows, no cushy, poshy things. It was just me on my floor. And I came to this realization that it doesn't matter what other people say about how many years you want to live, because if anyone is limiting your number of years, it puts them into this category that they might be, I mean, this is harsh to say, but that's a killer attitude. It's like a buzzkill. It just ruins the perspective that we're humans, but we're here to fulfill our divine purpose. And we get to decide pieces and parts of our divine purpose. So if that has something to do with us reaching into 1,000 years or 100 years, or some people might be really ambitious and say they want to live 1 billion years or 1 million years, then that's something that we just need to learn, that it's teachable how to do those things. And the teachers will arrive and the guides will arrive at the right time so that people can achieve what they need to get to that end goal. You might say, like, it makes it even sadder to die if there's more years on the planet, but at the same time, it's giving ourselves time to have more than 3 generations or 4 generations in a family. It's giving ourselves opportunities to have more than one job, more than one main career, more than one degree, to learn what we want to learn and to invent what we want to do. We want to invent. And I'm saying want. The Bible says you shall not want. But it also says ask and you shall receive. So when I say want, I'm saying it's what you ask for instead of what you want. So ask for as many years as you want, and just know that your trillion cells in your body is going to thrive to give that to you. That's what the body is made to do. It's made to listen to the mind and to hear the mindfulness and to go after it. And if it's what you've asked for, whether you've asked God or you've asked yourself, it's what you're going to achieve. And there's also this perspective that you can't do it alone, and nobody can do it alone. So when you start to believe in yourself this way and believe that your longevity is only limited by your own beliefs, then you can just take yourself and you can put yourself into a whole new world. But when somebody else believes in you the same way that you believe in yourself, and they're looking at you like, wow, this girl really just wants to survive. She wants to be a part of this world in more ways than can be accomplished in just a a limited amount of years. She doesn't want that normal time frame. If you're talking about me, and like, yeah, I'd be happy to have the normal time frame, but I'd be happier to have as much time as I ask for, because I want to believe that there's not somebody condemning me towards death. I don't want to believe that death is a punishment. But in a way, like if we do the 7 deadly sins, we tend to pass away sooner. And that's something that Catholicism and the Bible learned a very long time ago. But it hasn't been explained in this way yet. So I wanted to explain it so that people can understand. Even if you just went to a funeral in the last year or so, and you're still kind of feeling like that feeling, like that's going to be me someday, it is going to be you someday. And that's okay to accept that. It's okay to see it as something that's an achievement in itself, because I don't want to see death as a failure or passing away as a failure. It's okay to say goodbye permanently, but at the same time, if there's nobody believing that anything differently, and we're all believing the same thing about our lifespans and expecting the same thing, then we're all going to expect it and we're all going to get it. We're going to end up with the same lifespan as everybody else has had, because that's what we believed we could achieve. So it's really important to ask for what we truly think that we can accomplish. And I don't think I can accomplish this by myself. I don't think that I'm going to be the only person that lives towards 300 years old and maybe still has the same hair color all this time. But it's good to kind of look at the situations that are in our life right now, and to have that clarity of mind that's like, I'm not making decisions for the next 60 years. Sometimes when I'm making long-term decisions, I'm making long-term decisions that might last for hundreds of years. So this applies to everything, when it comes to shopping, when it comes to spending money, when it comes to reading books, when it's all about finishing a puzzle. Even you see a 1,000-piece puzzle and you never think you're going to do it, but then you see the 50-piece puzzle and you know that you can. And even if it has the same picture on it, you know that the 1,000-piece puzzle is going to take much longer than the 50-piece puzzle. And if it's going to take more time, that means there's going to be more decisions, and every puzzle piece is a decision. So it's almost like the number of puzzle pieces is the number of years. It doesn't get bigger. You don't get more important because you last more years. You're still the same person with the same humility lessons that you need to learn, with the same rules and constructs and capabilities, but you're going to have more time to gain more capabilities, to gain more opportunities. And if every puzzle piece is an opportunity, then what puzzle are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the puzzle that might have 100 pieces, or are you going to choose the puzzle that has 1,000? Same picture, same image, same self, but it's just going to evolve differently. You're going to evolve through different behaviors. You're going to be able to put more actions into the world that you wouldn't have had to put into the world. You're going to have maybe more places to be, more places to see, and everything. So yeah, we can also imagine it as a frame. If your frame for your life is this big, 50 centimeters by 50 centimeters, let's say, I don't know how big that is. If your frame is small, and you're trying to pack everything into that, things get crowded, things get crushed, things get squished, things get manipulated and twisted and turned and broken down into this point where they're not as important as they really could be. So if you give yourself to a chance to grasp the importance, the full importance of everything, and give yourself a bigger frame to fit the picture of your life, a frame that can be infinite, it can be for every inch a year, it could be 120 by 120, it could be 500 by 500, but it's the point that it's fair and square in life. Like, we ask and we receive. It might not be as quickly as we think we could receive it, but at some point we are going to receive what we want when we're ready, when we seem appropriate. And that's part of the other thing, is that it takes time to develop appropriateness. Sometimes our attitudes aren't appropriate for something that we're going after, and so we get denied it. And then when our attitude is finally ready, or our beatitudes are finally ready, then we're able to take what we had asked for and finally grasp it and have it to ourselves. So that's my lesson for today. It's something that's bothered me for quite a while. Like I said, I laid down on my floor and I was just like, you know what? Like, I don't care about people's opinions. I just needed to think those thoughts. I had to have those feelings. Like, failure in the moment does not mean failure forever. And the failure to believe that you're going to live for 350 years or however number of years could mean your failure to achieve it because you haven't put the right amount of belief into it. Like, the unbelievable happens, but the unbelievable is not going to happen to you for the difference between 200 and 100. You're going to have to be the 100-year-old that believes that you're worth taking care of, you're worth cherishing, you're worth moving forward with that healing journey. And then at some point, it's finally going to be like, bam, we achieved what we wanted. So that's my lesson for today. And the last line I wrote was, our minds could teach our bodies to be eternal.